everybody. I'm Ivan.
And I'm Stephanie.
And this is Family Table Talk. Today we're going to be talking about a subject that has come up quite a bit on social media lately, from different Facebook posts, pictures that have been posted, and that is the normalized breastfeeding movement. And we first of all just want to say we are completely in support of normalizing breastfeeding. This video is being created because we have some issues with it. But first, let's talk about your public breastfeeding experience with the two kids so far.
I have always felt uncomfortable doing it in public just because it's very uncomfortable for me. I'm always covered, but ever since I started with Robert breastfeeding, the few times that I did with him in public, I always felt uncomfortable, but that's just me.
You didn't feel like it was like a societal thing that was forced on you to feel uncomfortable?
No, I mean, it might have been deep down inside of me, but I never felt comfortable doing it, and the same with Lucille. I got over the uncomfortableness sort of with her, but both of my kids never took a bottle before they were about 5 months old, so I didn't have that option of giving them a bottle when we were out in public. The breast was the only option for my kids. So I always felt uncomfortable doing it, and I mean the glares and the looks that you get doesn't help matters any. I never had anybody come up to me and confront me about it, but
because there would have been issues.
I was always covered, and
but you never felt the need to go to the bathroom to do it, or anything like that. And that's how this movement, I guess, got started. Is the two main things people are complaining about is, or they're saying, you wouldn't want to go into a bathroom stall to eat your own food, so why would you ask a mother to do that when she's nursing? And the second one is, you as an adult wouldn't want to put a blanket over your head and cover your head and eat your food, so why would you put a baby into that situation? Here's where the issue comes in. What is happening is women are taking it to the step of not only are we normalizing breastfeeding, but we shouldn't have to cover up when we nurse. And it's a lot of Christian women are doing that as well. And the reason why we know that is because they're posting all over social media of their breastfeeding pictures. Yep. And they are not being discreet or, quite frankly, modest about how they're doing it. Again, we are all for normalizing breastfeeding because I understand from a man's perspective how I felt for the longest time that it wasn't a normal thing. It was just gross to me. It would make me uncomfortable, but that changed when Stephanie had Robert, and I saw the beauty behind it and the special bond that a baby and a mother has, and it's God-given, so it should be normalized. However, we as Christians are called to a higher standard. We're called to holy living, and nudity is still nudity. An exposed breast is nudity, whether a child is attached to it or not. Now, I'm not talking about, when I say modesty, I'm not talking about being covered head to toe and, wearing burlap sacks, so to speak. There's a basic biblical standard of what is nudity. And what is happening is these Christian women are exposing their nudity all over social media. And that's where I have a problem with this whole movement, is that not only are they wanting to normalize breastfeeding, they're wanting to normalize nudity.
Mm-hmm.
And as Christians, we cannot do that.
Yep.
Whenever she's in public, she covers herself. Because from a husband's point of view, my body is hers,
yep.
and her body is mine. We should only be seeing each other's bodies. So when she's nursing, she covers up because she does not want to expose what is mine to anybody else. Just like I wouldn't want to expose my body to the world because it's only for her. And it's alarming to me, and I'm seeing this also in politics, but it's alarming for me to see how Christians, for the sake of a movement, are setting aside biblical standards to be a part of that movement. And again, normalize breastfeeding 100%.
Yes.
It is a beautiful God-given thing between a mother and a child. It's not gross, it's not shameful, it's not disgusting. It is a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
But we need to be mindful about modesty standards. And these are biblical standards. These aren't standards that we are saying you should have. Regardless of how you interpret biblical modesty, there's still a standard of nakedness.
Mm-hmm.
And that needs to be taken into consideration when you attach yourself to a movement like this, because the world is okay with normalizing nudity. Mm-hmm. Because it's in movies, it's in commercials, it's in music videos, it's in everything. But we as Christians, we are called to be set apart from the world, mm-hmm. and we are called to a higher, holier standard. So we need to follow biblical guidelines. And yeah, it might not be the most comfortable thing for a mom to have some type of covering when she's nursing, but you're required to keep your body covered, mm-hmm. especially, areas that just should be covered biblically. So that is my challenge to you, mm-hmm. as a guy, is for the sake of your testimony, for the sake of living a holy life, cover up. Because in the end, you're honoring God by doing that. You're honoring your husband by doing that. And, I mean, there's options out there for coverings.
Yep. No, I don't have the best covering because mine's like a 3-layer covering. It's super hot. I sweat when I use it. My kids are just sweating when they're under it. But a lot of the new ones are very light, mm-hmm. and airy, and you don't have to wear a poncho. Sometimes I even have to use their blanket because I forgot my covering, or I'm somewhere where I was planning on breastfeeding and I didn't have my covering, so I just use their blanket. And I'm still modest. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you don't have to have a nursing cover. They even now have scarves that can be used as a covering. So there are options out there.
Yeah, there are options. And bottom line is, God has set a standard. Mm-hmm. And that standard needs to be upheld by we as Christians. And we can't deviate from that no matter what. Nudity is still nudity, whether a child is attached to it or not. Mm-hmm. And yes, normalize it. We need to normalize breastfeeding because it's a God-given thing.
And normalizing as in the society and also the mother, because mm-hmm. a lot of moms, they feel uncomfortable nursing in public because of how much pressure society puts on them
Mm-hmm.
for nursing in public.
Yeah.
So it's not just normalizing for society, but also for the mom, that she doesn't feel ashamed that she has to do this in public.
Definitely. But normalize breastfeeding, 100%. But we cannot cross that line to where we start normalizing nudity.
Yes.
We should never set aside our standards for a cause, because we will answer to God in the end for doing that. So yeah, kind of nervous about posting this because it's a hot button issue for a lot of women right now, and that's why we felt we wanted to chime in on it, because it is an important thing, because we see how it has been just made into kind of a negative thing for women to nurse in public. So we're all for bringing a better discussion to that, but we felt the need to address that issue of the nudity, because that's the biggest issue that we find, and we know that we're gonna get backlash from it, and that's okay.
But still comment whether
Yeah,
you
definitely.
agree or not agree
Yep.
with us. It doesn't matter, because like he said, everybody has their own opinions of it.
Mhm.
But we cannot normalize the nudity part
No.
of breastfeeding.
Because whether, we can give our opinion as much as we want to, and you can have your own opinion, but when it comes down to it, we have to go by what the Bible says. And we believe our position on this is from a biblical standpoint, because there's a basic standard of what nudity is and what nudity isn't. And we just want to encourage women to maybe re-examine their position on this movement of normalizing breastfeeding, and just take a biblical viewpoint of how to do that in public. And for us, we believe clearly from the Bible, it states at all times you are to be covered. And it might not be the most comfortable thing, but when it comes down to it, you're honoring God, and you're obeying God by covering yourself. And at the end of the day, it's all that matters.
Yep.
So if you liked this video, even if you didn't, you can give us the thumbs up or the thumbs down. One way or another, please subscribe to our Plemmons Family Value channel. The more subscribers we get, we can continue then to make videos like this with content that you will want to watch. So yeah, subscribe to us, hit the bell next to the subscribe button so you can get notifications whenever we post new videos. And that is it for us today, and we'll see you in the next video.
Bye.
God bless.